me tell you, if you're a doctor, don't ever give any girl the news like this, because how dare you? Hey everyone, it's Fab. I was too excited. Let me try that again. Hold on. Hey everyone, it's Fab. There we go. And the video is finally here. The video about this little baby is finally here. It's gonna be a hard video because I have the worst memory, but I'm gonna try my best to sum it all up really quick. So let's just jump right into it. Basically, it's August. Me and my boyfriend are going to school. Everything is a-okay until I get sick. And if you know me, you know that I'm always sick, so it wasn't an issue at that moment. I was just chilling right there. I was like, you know what, I get sick all the time. Like, it's just a week passes by and I'm still feeling like doo-doo, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like, I usually don't stay sick like that long because I'm never really nauseous sick. I'm more like I get a cold and stuff, so the fact that I was nauseous was kind of throwing me off, but I didn't think a single thing about it. I was like, I probably ate something bad. I even told my mom, like, oh my god, that carne asada that you gave me, girl, like, you probably didn't cook it, that's why I'm still sick. And she's like, here, drink this, drink that, and I'm still not getting better. Drink Pepto-Bismol, all that good stuff. I'm still going to school, blah blah blah, and then I go one morning to, well, every morning, I go to Starbucks and I get a drink and I take it to school. The morning that just killed me, it was so painful to the point where I made a doctor's appointment, which I never do. You won't catch me at the doctor's, trust me, unless I'm actually half dead or I'm just on my deathbed already. This morning I was in my class and I'm sipping on my coffee, and out of nowhere I get the worst stomach pain, the worst cramps. Oh my gosh, literally I got up, took my phone, texted my boyfriend like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. This is my phone. I feel like I'm gonna pass out, please bring me water. Here's where I'm at. Go to the restroom. I'm like standing in there, I'm like sweating. The girls are kind of like looking at me because I'm literally just like trying to not die, you know. I'm like, oh my god, like that meat hella fucked me up. I was like so mad at my mom in that moment. Like, her meat fucked me up. He's like, okay, I'm here. So I go out there and he's like, oh my god, like, here, drink water. And I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna, like, I feel like I'm gonna faint. Like, I feel weak. And he was kind of like, you need to go to the doctor. And he has been telling me, like, go to the doctor, go to the doctor, go to the doctor. But I was always like, nah, 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 nah. But that day I was like, I'm calling right now. I can't. So I called my doctor. Finally, I made my appointment. Time arrives and I'm like, oh, I actually want to be here right now. Like, I need pills or something because there's probably a virus going on. I already had the whole appointment made up in my mind. I was going to say I had a virus or I had food poisoning, and they were gonna say, yes, Fabiola, you do have food poisoning, take these pills, and I was gonna magically just, you know, be better. But no. So I go in there and they're like, okay, blah blah blah, is there a chance that you could be pregnant before we start testing you or checking you for other things? I kind of laughed. I was like, not really, like, nah. They're like, okay, let's just make sure. And I'm like, okay, whatever floats your boat, give me that little cup. So I go to the restroom, I pee in it, and then I do all that good stuff. I'm waiting for the results that I was not expecting to get back in the way that I did. My boyfriend's texting me like, oh, how's it going? I'm like, it's going good. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting. I'm still waiting. Finally, the doctor just barges in. Let me tell you, if you're a doctor, don't ever give any girl the news like this, because how dare you tell me it this way? She just barges in, looks at me, and says, your pregnancy test came back positive. I'm like, what? She's like, you're pregnant. And I'm like, you know, like, I kind of get, when I get awkward, I get kind of smiley. So I got like kind of smiley. I was like, no, I'm not. And she's like, yeah, you are. And then I was like, buckets of tears, buckets of tears, buckets of tears just start coming down my face, and I'm like freaking out. My hands got all sweaty. I got all sweaty. I was like, oh my god. Like, I started having like an attack in there. I was like crying and crying. Took forever for me to freshen up enough to go back outside. And then the doctor's like hugging me, and she's like, it's okay, like, there's options, what's wrong? And I'm like, no. She's like, you weren't expecting that? And I was like, girl, you think if I was expecting that I would be crying all these buckets of tears? Like, she just, honestly, I think she just didn't know what to do at that point. She was probably like, oh damn, this girl is a hot mess right now. I had paid to be seen, so she's like, okay, well, we'll actually have to refund you because since you are pregnant, we can't charge you for being seen because you're under some care act now, but I don't know what the hell. So she's like, go ahead and wait in the lobby and then we'll give you your money back. So I was trying so hard not to cry. I was sitting there like, oh, dude, like, what do I do? Jesus, please help me. And it felt like an eternity and they wouldn't give me back my money because there was an issue going on with the system that didn't let them return it to my debit card. And I was about to just be like, keep my money, I'm out, because I wanted to just cry freely. Finally, they're like, okay, well, we'll return it. I'm like, oh my god, how am I gonna tell my boyfriend? Like, how do I say it? Like, do I tell him in person? Do I email him? Like, what do I do? So then I go to the car, I close my door, and then the whole breakdown starts again. I'm crying the buckets of tears. You guys, there's gonna be a lot of buckets of tears in this video, so if you don't like water, then just exit the video right now. I'm like, okay, I need to tell him, like, I can't just be the only one freaking out. Like, he's probably all chilling right now. We're both freaking out together. So I text him, here's my phone again, and I'm like, we need to talk. And he was probably already like, oh man, we're screwed or something. And then he was like, okay, where do you want me to meet you? And I was not about to meet him at my house, so I was like, okay, meet me at the park. And then he met me there. And he like pulls up and he looks at me and he looked like he had already seen a damn ghost without hearing any news. And he comes and he sits in my car and I start crying again. There's too much crying in this video. I start crying again, and then he's like, you are, and I'm like, what? You know, just tears. Oh my god, I was a mess. He's just like, fuck, and he like leans down, you know, does the whole face palm thing, and then we freak out together. I didn't even go to my job that day, to my work, because I was not about to be crying around little kids. I'm just not doing it. So we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna tell first? Like, what's the plan here? And I went months without telling my mom. I found out when I was like a month, and I didn't tell her until I was like, I think 3 months, was it? Around there. Because I mean, he's tiny still, so I didn't show that much. I wasn't even probably showing at all back then. So then my friend was over that night and she's like, Fabiola, you need to tell your mom because you can't be walking around here doing all this and all that, and the longer you wait to tell her, she's gonna be more mad. So I'm like, that is so true. Girl, I need to tell my mom. And then I told my mom, Mama, let's go to Walmart. Yay, Walmart, the best scenario to tell your mom. And she's like, okay. The odds of this happening is just so great. We're walking outside, and then my neighbor had just had a baby, so my mom was like, oh my god, you had your baby. How is she? Where is she? And I'm already like, oh my god, this is God telling her for me. Jesus Christ, like, help me. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna cry this time. I was like, that is my mother. I am not gonna cry this time. And then she walks up to me, and then I start crying. And she's like, oh my god, she's like, what's wrong? Like, what happened? She was probably like, this girl is crazy. She was just fine a second ago. I come back and hear the buckets of tears, and then I'm just like, I went, and then I do this thing where I cry and try to talk. It doesn't work, but I do it anyways. And then she's like, what's wrong, and I'm like, I went. And then she's like, where'd you go? And then I'm like, to the doctor. And then she's like, okay, what did they tell you? And I could not get the words out. And she's like, what's wrong, like, she's probably thinking that I'm gonna die or something. They found some crazy thing. Finally, like, I tell her, like, I'm pregnant. And then she was like, no. And I'm like, yes. Like, I was crying. Nobody believed me when I told them, like, I'm pregnant. They all thought I was just talking smack, but no. Probably because I jinxed it. I used to mess around like that, and look what happens. Don't jinx it. Don't make jokes out of being pregnant. It's not funny, and it's gonna end up happening to you, so just stop. So then she's like, okay, well, what is he gonna do about it? Like, what is Girl gonna do? And I was just like, okay, like, he's obviously gonna do this and this. And then she's like, your dad. And I'm like, I know. She's like, your dad's gonna be so mad. And I'm like, oh my god, thanks, mom. I needed to hear those words, thanks. So we go to Walmart, and then I'm just chilling, and then I get random, like, flashes of I need to cry. Like, I was so emotional, you guys. But my mom reacted really well, so gracias to God for giving me a sweet, sweet mama that understood and did not kick my ass out or did not kill me. You know, either of those two would have been really bad. Now on to my dad. So scared to tell my dad. Sorry, I keep moving the camera. Well, my phone. I was so scared to tell my dad. You guys do not understand. He is a million, bajillion, a gazillion times religious. Like, oh man, I already knew. my ass is dead. But my sister's like, you need to tell him before he finds out or before the baby pops out. So I was like, okay, let's just do this. And I had just got my first ultrasound and I was like, you know what, like, let's use it. Who's gonna be mad when they see the little peanut baby on the little ultrasound? Like, you can't be mad at the little peanut baby. I mean, he could still sure as hell be mad at me, but the peanut baby, you guys, it's a great way to tell people. If you're pregnant and you're watching this and you don't know how to tell them, make sure you have your little peanut baby pics, because that's kind of a, you know, kind of an emotional thing. It helps. So I'm like, oh, where am I gonna tell him? Oh my god, this and that. And then boom, we go to a Chinese buffet, and I'm like, oh my god, here, it's perfect, there's people here, he can't kill me here, let's tell him here. My sister has the ultrasound with her in her pocket, and I'm kind of like nervous getting food, and I'm like, okay, when we sit down, I'm gonna just tell him, I'm not gonna cry, it's gonna be cool, there's people here, I'm not trying to make a scene, this is no Keeping Up with the Kardashians, no drama, nothing, no. So he sits down, and then I'm already nervous, and she's like, tell him, and I'm like, okay, like, she's like, I'm gonna tell him, and I'm like, no, don't tell him, don't tell him, don't tell him. So then I wasn't telling him, so she gets up, and she's like, Fabi has something to tell you, and I'm like, no, I don't, bye. He was like, Fabi has something to tell you, and then I was like, oh my god, like, what now, what the hell do I say now? And then he's like, okay, what do you need to tell me? And then, guess what, you guys, I started crying again. What a shocker. Start crying. He's like, no. He freaks out when I cry. He doesn't know what to do because I usually never cry. So he's like, no, don't cry. He's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. Like, I do the whole talk and cry thing again. Then he's like, okay, well, why are you crying? What's wrong? And I'm just like, oh my god, like, how do I say this? Again, like, the wording of I'm pregnant is just not easy to just, you know, fall out of your mouth. So my sister just plops the ultrasound onto the damn table, and I'm like, girl, thanks, like, thanks, I was ready. And then he's like, kind of like, okay, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a baby. And he was like, okay, like, he was really confused. He was just super confused, but he did not get mad. Thankfully, he did not get mad. He was more like SMH, you know, like, oh man, you're young. But honestly, you guys, both of these situations went really well. I still have a roof over my head. I'm still alive. My baby's coming soon. So, I mean, it went a lot better than I thought. It was really comforting to know that even though I thought I was gonna get my ass beat, I didn't. So, if you are pregnant and you don't know how to tell your parents, like I mentioned before, make sure that you have the ultrasound, because that makes a huge difference, you guys. If somebody told me, like, something, but they had a cute picture of a baby, like, you cannot be that mad. Like, look, it's a human. Another human. But yeah, you guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. It's kind of hard for me to remember every single detail, but basically, I'm having this baby. He will be on this channel, of course, because he's gonna be part of the Fab and G gang. If you have any questions about pregnancy, please feel free to ask me, and I can help you as much as I can, even though I'm not like a pregnancy expert. This is my first little one, so I'll do my best. Cannot wait to show him to you guys when he does arrive. So please subscribe, like, comment, and yeah, thanks.